Welcome to Coffee and Books channel. In this video, we will present the summary of The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. The Hunger Games begins on the day of the reaping. Katniss Everdeen, the story's 16-year-old narrator, sets out to meet her best friend Gale, so they can do some hunting and gathering before the reaping that afternoon. As Katniss makes her way from her home to the woods, where people of the district are forbidden to go, we learn about Katniss' life in the seam, the impoverished part of her district, District 12. She thinks about her sister Prim, who is 4 years younger, and her mother, both of whom have depended upon Katniss for survival ever since Katniss' father died in a mine explosion when she was 11. The reaping is a nerve-wracking time because it determines which boy and girl, ages 12 to 18, will serve as the district's tributes in the Hunger Games. 2 tributes are drawn in each of the 12 districts, and those tributes are sent to an arena where they fight until only one tribute remains alive. The victor gets to return home, and the victor's district is showered with gifts, mostly food. The games, put on by the capital, are meant to punish the 12 districts of Panem as well as to remind them of the dark days and how the 13th district was obliterated for its uprising against the tyrannical and cruel capital. Later at the reaping, the mayor gives the usual speeches every year, describing how the governments of North America collapsed and the country of Panem rose up in their place. A war ensued between the capital and the districts. The capital won, and as a reminder of their defeat, the capital holds the Hunger Games every year. During the reaping, 22 tributes of the 11 districts have been selected, 11 boys and 11 girls. Only District 12's 2 final tributes to complete the selection. Against all odds, Prim's name is selected at the reaping. Katniss volunteers to take the place of her younger sister and becomes District 12's girl tribute for the 74th Hunger Games. Peeta, a boy the same age as Katniss and the son of the baker, is selected as the male tribute of the district. Katniss remembers how years earlier, while searching for food for her family in the garbage bins behind the town shops, Peeta gave her bread from his family's bakery. Katniss credits him with saving her that day. Peeta's selection doesn't bode well for Katniss, who feels that she owes Peeta, which is inconvenient considering she's now expected to kill him in the Hunger Games, as only one person can be the winner. Before she leaves, Katniss says goodbye to her mother and Prim, to Madge, the mayor's daughter who gives her the Mockingjay pin, a recurring symbol in the novel, to Peeta's father the baker, and to Gale, for whom her feelings are already conflicted, wavering between friendship and love. Katniss and Peeta then board a train for the capital. During the trip, she and Peeta convince Haymitch, their mentor in the games and the person responsible for getting them gifts from sponsors, to take his duties seriously, as he is always drunk, and they need him to be sober to guide them during the games. Besides Haymitch, they both get to know Effie Trinket, their escort. On the train, Katniss experiences luxury like she's never known and gets to eat the richest, most exotic food. After they arrive at the training center, Katniss meets with her stylist, Cinna, a young man who dresses simply and wears very little makeup compared with the other residents of the capital. Cinna is designing her dress for the opening ceremony. At the ceremony, all the people of Panem will be watching, as the ceremony and all the events related to the Hunger Games are broadcasted live for the audience to see. Katniss and Peeta wear simple black outfits lit with synthetic flames. Katniss and Peeta are presented as a pair during the opening ceremonies. They race through the capital in a chariot holding hands, their outfits blazing in fake flames, earning Katniss her nickname Girl on Fire. Their entrance becomes the highlight of the opening ceremonies. After the ceremonies, the tributes begin their training. Haymitch coaches Katniss and Peeta together, and instructs them to keep their biggest strengths a secret from the other tributes. For Katniss, this means staying away from archery. After many years of hunting game in the woods, her prowess with the bow and arrow are unrivaled. The game makers reward her skills, and her feistiness, with a score of 11 out of 12 during her private session with them. Peeta's biggest asset is his strength, so he stays away from weightlifting while he's around the other tributes. Haymitch tells them to remain together at all times. They are to appear inseparable, which as the training goes on, becomes increasingly tiring for Katniss, who can't decide whether Peeta's kindness and compliments are genuine or simply a part of a scheme for winning the games. Then, just before their interviews, Peeta asks Haymitch to coach him separately. This angers Katniss, who feels betrayed, but decides that she and Peeta aren't friends and the sooner they stop pretending they are, the better things will be. At the interview, however, Peeta professes his love for Katniss, and the audience believes they are star-crossed lovers, trapped in an arena where their love cannot survive. Katniss is furious with Peeta for making her look weak in front of the audience and the other tributes. Haymitch and Cinna, however, assure Katniss that Peeta has given her an advantage, making her appear desirable. The 74th Hunger Games begin with the tributes rising up from below ground. They stand in a circle around the metal cornucopia, a giant golden horn that holds supplies and weapons, meant to lure the tributes in for a bloodbath right from the start. Haymitch has instructed Katniss not to run toward the cornucopia, but to run as far away as she can and find water immediately. Upon seeing a bow and quiver of arrows, Katniss questions Haymitch's advice and prepares herself to retrieve them from the cornucopia, but as she is thinking about it, she sees Peeta shaking his head at her, which distracts her long enough to make her miss the opening gong that releases the tributes. She runs in just far enough to retrieve a single backpack and then takes off into the woods, where she is most comfortable. She runs all day, placing as much distance as she can between herself and the other tributes, while taking stock of her surroundings. The woods calm her, but she's unable to find water. That first night, Katniss prepares to sleep high in a tree, to stay hidden from the other tributes. After dark, someone starts a fire nearby, and it isn't long before a pack of career tributes arrives and kills the person. To Katniss's shock, Peeta is with them. The next day Katniss goes in search of water. She walks for hours and collapses from exhaustion, but ultimately she finds a stream. Katniss constantly has to battle hunger, dehydration, the other tributes, and the game makers, who are able to send violent fires and explosions through the woods. That night, while she hides in a tree from the pack of careers below, she notices a young girl named Rue from District 11 in a nearby tree. Rue points out a nest of tracker jackers over Katniss's head, wasps engineered by the Capitol to be lethal, and Katniss cuts the branch holding the nest, dropping it onto the careers, so that she can escape. 2 of them die from the stings and the rest scatter. Katniss is stung a few times as well, but as she's running away, she remembers one of the girls who died had a bow and arrows, the weapon she's become proficient with from hunting. She runs back to retrieve them, and Peeta happens to arrive as she's grabbing the bow. He yells at Katniss to run just as Cato, a very large and dangerous career from District 2, the leader of the pack, shows up. Peeta stops him so Katniss can escape, and she passes out in a ditch shortly after, affected by the wasp's poison. Soon after waking up, Katniss encounters Rue and makes an alliance with her. Rue reminds Katniss of her little sister Prim, as they both are 12 years old. Rue says she knew she could trust Katniss because of her Mockingjay pin. Rue loves mockingjays and their songs. They are able to get food hunting and foraging, and Katniss realizes that the careers would have difficulty surviving without the supplies at the cornucopia, so she and Rue devise a plan. While Rue lights decoy fires, Katniss sneaks up to the cornucopia. The supplies are in a pyramid away from the main camp, and after the careers leave to investigate the fires, Katniss manages to blow up the supplies by cutting open a bag of apples with her arrows, which sets off the mine set to protect the pyramid. When Katniss doesn't find Rue at their meeting spot, she goes looking for her and finds her just as another tribute stabs her with a spear. Katniss kills the other tribute, but can't save Rue, who is severely injured. When Rue dies, Katniss cries in pain and covers her body in flowers, before the hovercraft arrives and takes Rue's lifeless body away, with just 6 tributes remaining, including Katniss and Peeta. Claudius Templesmith, the game's announcer, declares a new rule to the games. This year, 2 tributes can win so long as they come from the same district. Katniss immediately sets out to find Peeta, whom she knows has been injured badly by Cato. She finds him camouflaged in mud and in bad shape. The gash on Peeta's leg from where Cato struck him has become severely infected. Katniss takes him to a cave where he can heal in safety and, while there, she works hard to give the audience what it wants, which is romance, knowing that satisfying them will earn their support in the form of gifts. She knows, too, that if she plays the audience right, Haymitch and any sponsors he can find will deliver the very necessary gifts at the right time. She kisses Peeta and talks sweetly to him. They continue to flirt in the cave, but Peeta gets blood poisoning and Katniss knows that he won't live much longer without medication. Claudius announces that there will be a feast at the cornucopia at dawn and that there will be backpacks for each district containing something that those tributes desperately need. Katniss is sure that her backpack will contain medicine for Peeta, who says he won't let Katniss risk her life for him. Haymitch sends Katniss a sleeping syrup, which she uses to put Peeta into a deep sleep while she makes her way to the cornucopia. As she races to get her backpack, she is caught by Clove, the girl tribute from District 2, who is skilled with knives. Clove pins her to the ground, but before she can carve Katniss' face, Thresh, the boy from District 11, kills Clove and frees Katniss. Thresh lets Katniss go, just this once, because of what she did for Rue, who was the other tribute from his district. Katniss thanks Thresh, retrieves her backpack, and runs back to the cave. She injects Peeta with the medicine just before passing out. The medicine in the backpack attacks Peeta's infection and he slowly regains his strength.
They stay there for a few days while it rains non-stop outside, and in this time the romance between Katniss and Peeta progresses. When the rain lets up, Peeta and Katniss need to find food. Katniss leaves Peeta in charge of foraging while she goes to hunt. She comes back hours later and finds a small pile of poisonous berries Peeta collected thinking they were safe. They discover the body of a tribute who Katniss nicknamed Foxface, and Katniss realizes she died from eating the berries. After a tribute is killed in the arena, their image is projected into the night sky during the evening broadcast. This is part of the Capitol's way of making the deaths of the tributes a spectacle for the citizens. The sky is transformed into a screen where the faces of the fallen tributes appear one by one, accompanied by a cannon shot for each fallen tribute. The images of the deceased tributes serve as a haunting reminder of the brutality of the Hunger Games and the high cost of survival. By this point Cato, who killed Thresh, is the only tribute left, and Katniss decides to keep some berries in case they can trick Cato the same way. When the only remaining tributes are Katniss, Peeta, and Cato, Katniss knows that the game makers will soon drive them together for their final battle. True enough, the streams and ponds dry up, forcing the remaining tributes to head for the lake near the cornucopia for water. Katniss and Peeta go to the cornucopia to wait for Cato. Cato emerges from the woods, but he seems that he is running from something and not towards Katniss and Peeta as he passes by them and keeps running. Katniss turns her gaze to the woods and realizes that Cato is being chased by mutations, creatures made by the Capitol. These particular creatures are wolf-like and can balance on their hind legs. They also each represent one of the dead tributes, possessing their eyes and hair color. Peeta, Katniss, and Cato climb up the cornucopia, trying to get out of the creature's reach. Cato grabs Peeta, who received a deep bite by one of the mutations and is bleeding profusely. Peeta, while being held and choked by Cato, points to Katniss the hand of Cato that was holding his neck. Katniss shoots Cato in the hand, which causes him to fall to the ground where the mutations attack him. The animals gnaw on Cato through the night, torturing him without killing him to make the pain last. Katniss shoots him with an arrow to end his misery and to end the games. Katniss and Peeta believe the games are over, but then Claudius Templesmith's voice announces that the new rule that was previously established about 2 tributes winning has been revoked. Only 1 tribute can win. Katniss realizes this has been the game maker's plan all along, to end with the star-crossed lovers and watch one of them sacrifice his or her life for the other. Katniss, however, comes up with a plan. She and Peeta both prepare to eat the poisonous berries, which makes Claudius take back his most recent announcement, stating that 2 tributes can indeed win, declaring Katniss and Peeta as this year's Hunger Games winners. As the Capitol cannot afford to have no winners, as that will ruin the idea of the game. Back in the Capitol, Katniss and Peeta are nursed back to health, their scars and burns polished smooth, though Peeta loses his leg. They will be reunited in front of an audience, but before they take the stage, Haymitch warns Katniss that the Capitol isn't happy with her. They believe that her stunt with the berries made them look like fools. Haymitch says that she must convince them that she's so madly in love with Peeta that she can't be held responsible for her actions. As Katniss takes the stage with Peeta to watch the video replay of the games, she's aware that the most dangerous part of the games has only just begun. During the video showing, as well as during her interview with Caesar Flickerman, Katniss is quite convincing. Peeta is as well. She wonders, though, if he might truly love her. The novel ends with Katniss and Peeta on their train ride back to District 12 as heroes. The closer she gets to home, the more confused Katniss becomes about her feelings for Peeta and about her true identity. She knows that pretending to love Peeta has saved her life and that she must continue to pretend to love him so that the Capitol doesn't punish her for her final act in the arena. Still, her mind centers on Gale and how she can't wait to be reunited with him. When Peeta finds out that Haymitch was coaching Katniss even after their return, he feels betrayed. He wants to know what has been true between them and what things will be like once they've returned to District 12. Katniss can feel him distancing himself from her and knows that she is losing him. At the novel's end, Katniss isn't sure who she is now that she's a victor in the Hunger Games. She also doesn't know whom she loves, Gale or Peeta, or where her life will go from here with the Capitol's eyes closely upon her.
Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more.